We're probably connected by now. Hi. So, once again, I am Matthew Embry McLean, the Shamanic Happiness Coach. Here with the 90-Day Happiness Challenge. We're doing day number 76 today. Congratulations for making it this far. Huge work. You are rocking it. If you are just turning in for the first time, go back to all the other days and see what kind of progress we're going through. The work that we're doing right now. The work that we're doing right now is really supported by the previous work that we've done over the last 75 days. So, I do apologize for the day 75. It's broadcast through to Restream, but it didn't broadcast to any of the platforms. So hopefully this one is going to all of our platforms. But it was just simply go ahead and continue. With cleaning and finishing another space, but go a little bit deeper on that. So the video should have just loaded prior to this one at 11:45. So for number 76 today, really powerful work today because we're going to break bounds of who we think we are. Maybe you're already good at this, then you get kind of an easy pass on today's assignment. But think back to, I think it was day 72, when I instructed everybody to choose a book and then you just finished cleaning for that day, or kind of like use that time to maybe inspire you for a book to read. Now, if you wanted to, you could have chosen a book that you've already started to read, but please not more than a quarter of the way through the book. In addition, audiobooks are a no-no, with a slight caveat. I'll tell you that in a second. So, the book that you chose that day, you're going to read within 24 hours. Yes, I just said that, within 24 hours. So the challenge today is to blow your mind off of knowledge acquisition and how difficult it might be to complete gaining a new skill or gaining new knowledge, right? Expanding our repertoire. In the description of this video, it does say that you can actually read about a 300-page book within 12 hours. Generally, if you are somebody who reads, I think it's a page and a half a minute, something like that, you can actually get through a 300-page book easily within 8 hours. So, super powerful. I am a slow reader, or generally have been a slow reader. So, as I'm going through, I'll just give an example. As I was going through a book like this, this book happens to have more than that. Oh, it's only about 320 pages, so not too many more. But I'm a reader who I obviously mark the books. If a book to me, it looks pristine, it is not read and it is not honored. I know that other people have different opinions upon that, but whatever. These are my books. So as I'm reading through this, I'm highlighting and I'm going through stuff. So I do take a little bit. I am one of those people who have trained, or when I learned how to read, I developed the programming to where I had to read every single word. So when I skip words like or, the, and it like these the small words that generally when you're a really fast reader you do skip over because your mind just fills in the blank. I have a little bit harder time doing that. So for me to get through a normal standard page like one of these, it takes almost 3 minutes, depending on how the content, I should say. Now, because I was pushing myself to read multiple books, and I don't even have the other book that I read recently. So anyway, this book I was able to read within 24 hours. And also, this book I also read within 24 hours. And that does include spending time afterwards marking all of these pages. So me being somebody who's really slow, I asked myself, well, how can I make this faster? And one was just to stick with it, making sure that all of the requirements of my system to be able to stay focused for that long are maintained. So making sure that I am getting enough water. When my brain is tired, I take a nap. So generally, I was taking a break every 2 hours or every hour. and just doing a 15-minute nap. And some of them I put on like a little meditation or some instrumental music, and was fine with it, right? Other times I was okay to continue to go for like 3 hours and I had no issue. I did not utilize stimulants very much, so coffee, tea, things like that. I really kept it to a minimum, and instead I wanted to know, like, when is my brain tired, because caffeine turns off your ability to know when it's tired. And so when you engage further down the line and your brain is tired but you don't know, it actually takes you way longer to read a page than it naturally would if your brain was relaxed or calm, right? Or full of energy, so to speak. Full of all the nutrients that it requires for all those firings to happen within your brain, all those nerves to continue to fire, the neural synapses. There we go. So I hydrated myself, and which required me to actually get up and probably, use the restroom like every half an hour or something like that. But I made sure that I had enough food, water, enough sleep. I made sure that I was in the right lighting conditions, because certain experiences cause me to like fall asleep or whatever, depending on how much light's around. I personally love utilizing light therapy when I'm studying, when I'm working. I generally will have actually this huge ring light on that's behind you, that's illuminating me now, probably making the rest of the room look a little darker. But anyway, I turn this light onto the full blue setting, because the blue light actually keeps your brain awake. It stops it from producing melatonin. And so it keeps you into a higher beta state. When the lights go out and you get to more yellowy spectrums, then your brain is allowed to produce a little bit more melatonin. And the reason for that is when the sun goes down, we're seeing a whole bunch more of the red spectrum, or the yellow spectrum, so to speak. And that is part of our circadian rhythm that triggers, I'm pointing, of course, to the west, sorry, that triggers the brain's response to produce melatonin, which starts us to go from beta brainwaves down into alpha and continuing down. It's a very suggestible time for us. So reading before bed is a good idea. And reading before sleep can be a good idea because of certain knowledge acquisition. But if your brain slows down too much, then you're actually not able to keep it in there. You read it, but your brain isn't able to make sense of it because it's transitioning into a sleep state. So just be aware of that. So I keep mine on blue. Anyway, long story short. So another thing that I did when reading some books, and I did this with this book right here, Becoming Supernatural. I went ahead and I actually did purchase the audiobook as well. The reason for this was because I wanted to know how long it takes for the author or the orator to read this book through Audible. And once I saw that, I was like, whoa, that took them, it's listed as being 16 or 17 hours or something like that. And I was like, well, technically I can do that in a day if I just want to listen to it nonstop. So that also tells you that generally most audiobooks can be listened to within 8 hours or 20 hours, right? But it depends also on how slow the orator is. So what I ended up doing was figuring out, I sped up the audiobook to figure out how fast I would have to read in order to be 2 minutes or less. So I did some calculations, and I encourage you to do this as well. And I think most audiobooks will be different, to just figure out what kind of rate it would be. So if you have an audiobook and you have the normal book, I adjust it until the timer says that I'm reading a page within 2 minutes. Then I continuously listen to it and read the book at the same time. This does require a lot of brain power because you're using multiple parts of your brain, so you super have to be cognizant of the nutrition level in your body, eating more oils, more fats, and things like that. Good fats, not ice cream. That's bad fats. But good fats like avocados, extra virgin olive oil, things like that. Anyway, when I did this, I discovered that my reading comprehension went up, and when I was reading by myself, about almost 3 minutes per page, when I turned off the audiobook, I was able to maintain under a 2-minute reading level. And it's because I was able to continuously listen and allow my brain to think faster. Like when we hear each other, when we hear ourselves read, we're reading and we're having an internal dialogue. That internal dialogue is set to a certain speed as well, because internally you're an orator. We all are in some fashion or another. And so I kind of was pretending that I was just having an audiobook play in my head when I'm reading. And now that I know what it's like to have the under 2 minutes, I know how quickly it is. I just gave my brain a few hours to adjust to it. By the end of the book, I was really fast, and I was very impressed with that. And it actually helped me quite a bit, because I had to, right after reading this book, 2 days later, I had to read an entire, another booklet that had it was actually more words than this book had, and I had to read that, and I did it within 6 hours. I was super impressed. So for this one, read your book. If you have any questions about how to do that and need support, reach out to me. Social media, you can also call me or text me, 775-800-4271. You can email me to send an email to Matthew@shamanichappinesscoach.com. And yes, so share this video, talk about your progress, your struggles, your difficulties. What did you do to read your whole book? And what was the book about? Just give us some information. Why was it cool? Why did you pick it? How did it help you on your journey? And the biggest takeaway from doing this exercise and reading a book within 24 hours is to know that leaders are readers. If you want to stay salient and up to date, so to speak, on the leading curve of things, it's very important that you continuously acquire knowledge. And that doesn't mean that you have to read books, but it means that you constantly have to be on the lookout for new knowledge, for constantly upgrading, because as we know before, we are not the same person from one moment to the next. So in this respect, maybe you didn't think that you could read a book within 24 hours. Well, you can. And if you already know that you can do that, great. This is going to be an easy assignment for you. But as you're leading your life, understanding that you are the one who's leading it. And so that means you are a leader. You may not be a leader with other things, but you're a leader of yourself. So being able to acquire knowledge super quickly is very important, okay? One last thing before I go, and I talk about this in other workshops about knowledge acquisition and skill acquisition. But did we know that to become like the best of the best of the best of the best, like Olympic gold medalist kind of like athlete or performer, that does take roughly 10 to 20,000 hours of work. That's years and years of work, of practice, of tuning your body, tuning your mind, tuning your muscles, all these things. It's a giant meditation, basically. And that means you become the leading authority of that one thing, whatever it would be. Now, to become skillful in something, just to become knowledgeable and generally be able to talk about it, all it takes is about 20 hours of learning, of knowledge acquisition. So if you want to learn a new skill, you got 20 hours to spare, maybe to plan out over 4 days and just spend 4 or 5 hours a day doing it. Perfect. In another video, I did talk about how I acquired knowledge about winemaking and different types of wine. I spent roughly 60 hours studying all of that. It's a huge set of big topic, lots of knowledge in there, lots of different stuff to know. And within 60 hours, I knew how to taste wine, what the subtleties are, where the regions were, all of these things. And I'm not a sommelier, but I was able to acquire that knowledge over 60 hours. So this also means that maybe you think you need a degree to go and do what you want to do. Maybe, maybe not. It's super easy to acquire certain knowledges, and then just to perfect them over time is basically like going to school and getting a degree. Our society just has some requirements for certain degrees. But a lot of colleges too, you can audit courses, do courses online, right? If you're already really good at certain things, you could just audit a course, take the tests, and boom, you've got your stuff to get a degree or a certificate. But if you already want to acquire knowledge, nothing is stopping you at all. So hopefully this assignment helps you in that realm. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to me. Go ahead and share the video and use the hashtag 90-Day Happiness Challenge. Also tag me, Matthew Embry McLean, Shamanic Happiness Coach. With light and love, I will see you guys tomorrow for day 77. Woo! Woo! We're almost to 90. Yay! Okay.